Hi, welcome back to Nancy Jean's Garden, and we're in a 9-day candle lighting thing, and today is day 4. And 4 is really interesting as a number in numerology. It's a base number. It's where you kind of like the foundation of a house or the foundation of your life. Or if you're in a 9-year cycle, it's the year when you clear stuff out and build a stronger foundation to go on to the 5s and the 6s and the 7s and the money and freedom and power that are ahead of you. So 4 is kind of our foundational day. And when I was pulling my inner child card, which I didn't pull on the 3rd because I'd already decided to read about shungite, but I decided that today I would pull a card and see. I had a couple different kinds of crystals, and I had talked about doing ancestral crystals. And I got Guardian of the Earth, Guardian of Crystals. And her statement, and you got to realize this book was written in people were writing it in 1990, 1991, when the interwebs were in their very, 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 very basic baby stages. And it says, the quartz crystal around Gaia's neck, because this is Gaia, and she's holding the world, and she has a quartz crystal around her neck. And it says, suggests the opening of humanity's throat chakra by creating increased availability for people to communicate globally through newspapers, radio, television, computers, satellites, clairvoyance, and mental telepathy. Gaia is bringing the human family together into a combination of inventive thinking back to the land movement that will be manifested through the increasing growth of things like the Green Party. When Gaia appears in your reading, be thankful for the gift of life, the treasures of your deepest friendship. Give gratitude to the parents and the relatives who raised you, to the elders who inspired you to great vision. Devote yourself to beautifying and enriching the land. Get involved in recycling and saving our earth. And then it says to go out and be part of nature. And it's funny because of the very intro of the Gaia card, they said, as we sit on the edge of the 21st century, which is the one we're 20 years into, they were very right about their assumptions. And she is sort of the culmination of that. And it's kind of interesting that I pulled her on this day so close to Jupiter and Saturn becoming conjunct. They say that at the time there was a thing called the Gaia hypothesis. We have finally accepted where millions of spiritually aware people known around the earth will agree on a common path. It's a nice thought for this time of year, and it's a nice thought for right now, and it's a nice thought for what we've been through. So we're going to go light the 4 candles, thinking about the unification of humanity and how each of us can learn what we need to know and how we can all grow spiritually by sharing with each other. So I hope you will want to share with our community. This is candle 1. This can get boring by the 9th day, guys. Candle 2. Candle 3. And today is candle 4. And we're lighting it because we are now really building the foundation of an understanding of this practice. Now, it talks about Gaia making us aware of our life on this planet. And I'm going to talk about Ancestor Stones. I have samples of 2 of them here. I can't find my 3rd one. He used to sit on my table when I did readings, but I'm still unpacking from my move and I don't have all the crystals that I own. But Ancestor crystals are crystals that are, or gems or things that were formed out of things that were alive, living, part of a plant or an animal or a critter of some sort before it became metamorphized into a stone. And one of those is, you can see a little sample of it here. I have a bigger sample of it here. And this is amber. And you've probably seen amber jewelry and amber this and amber that and wonder what it is. Amber is just tree pine sap that got crushed and heated in the earth over millions of years and came out as a beautiful little crystal. These things are extremely light. They have no weight to them whatsoever. I was going to try to float them in water because that's actually how they harvest them. They harvest them in, and this came from this particular amber. I have a friend who goes to Estonia, and he brought me these amber chips back because I said, if you can find me some amber, I know the amber in Estonia is for the most part real because that's where it comes from, the Baltic Seas. And the way they find amber, and they find it in the Mediterranean also, is when there are earthquakes, it breaks up the rocks and it breaks up where the amber is, and the amber floats to the surface, and they harvest it with nets. And it is that light, it really is. And so he went to he went into a street market, and he was bound and determined to find me some amber. And he met this old woman, and she had a lot of dewhaps and different things on her booth. He said, "You wouldn't happen to have any amber?" And she said, "Oh, I have an old bag a friend brought me from the sea a long time ago. And I have now this woman's old bag of amber. And in order to clean it up, you have to soak it in salt water. This had never even been cleaned till I got it. I had to soak it in salt. And this is a crystal you can't soak in salt water. It's not going to hurt it. Amber will actually, though, however, burn. It actually is still that close to its molecular levels. It will do that. So if you get amber, don't expose it to a lot of heat, and it's not going to melt. I mean, it'd have to be a lot of heat. It'd have to be like a fire. But it's a beautiful stone, and I occasionally I don't have many pieces of it, and I put it on a grid I made for my son and my grandchildren and my daughter-in-law as an ancestor stone to tie them together with other things in their ancestral patterns that I built into that grid for them to have an understanding. Another ancestral stone is petrified wood. And you probably have heard about that because we have lots of petrified wood in the US and the West. And petrified wood is wood where the water seeps in it and the minerals take over, and they just replace almost everything cell for cell. So it looks like a little piece of wood. It looks like striated wood. And petrified wood is another ancestral stone. So if you can wear either of those two, you're paying homage to the fact that we have come from these places and that the universe has preserved some of our living past in a crystalline form. The third one that I can't find, it's called soapstone. And if you touch soapstone, it feels slick. It doesn't feel like a crystal, not even crystal kind of slick. It almost feels like soap. So soapstone was the millions and millions and millions of years ago when life on this planet was teeny tiny little unicellular what's at the bottom of the ocean. And as time and they kind of piled up on each other and they built up layers and layers, and the muck would get compressed by pressure and heat and eventually became mineralized. And that's another ancestor stone because its actual true form came from a critter. I don't know if it's a plant or an animal, it's in that kind of stage. But anyway, if you know of any other stones that you think, or you've heard about another one that came from another kind of being, if you'll let me know, I'll be glad to look it up for you and see what's going on. But what we're looking at now in our life is a continuation of life and a change, and a very important change. We're at the middle of a very, very important change on this planet, and we need to acknowledge it and understand it's going to lead us to greater spiritual growth. Excuse me, that was my friend Margaret's ringtone. Anyway, I will be glad to try and look up any ancestor stones you know about. And if you have any other questions about particular kinds of stones, let me know. Now, tomorrow is going to be the solstice, so I'm going to go over some of the history and the magic around solstice, and that is tomorrow night. And if you can get out, and just as the sun's setting to the north, you can there's actually an astrologic map you can go find, and if I can find the address for it, I'll include it below, where you can see exactly where Jupiter and Saturn will be conjunct at your location at the time it's best to see it after sunset. And that's really kind of a cool thing to go see, because actually the last person who saw this, whose name I think you might know, was Galileo. That's how long it takes for all these things to roll around again. So it's kind of our chance to see something that has a historical basis, our chance to see something that's a phenomena. A lot of times they talk about, Venus went into this or that, and you're like, really? Yeah. But you can't see it. But this way you can. This is one that you can see and kind of look at the miracle of the continuation of the cycles of our lives that Gaia represents, who was our first card today. So once again, I want to thank you for being in my garden. I wanted you to subscribe, share, and like so that the garden can grow. That's the only way the garden will grow, is if we have a lot more people coming in. And also next week, I'm going to show you, I've been working on grids. I'm going to have about 5 new grids to show you, and I'll be putting them side by side with me, and I'll be explaining why I use the crystals the way I use them. So that's coming up too. But anyway, I look forward to seeing you on Solstice Day, the 21st, and happy sun daylight being the same as nighttime, which is kind of fun. Actually, no, this is one where they're not the same. This is the longest night of the year. And then after that, we have light coming towards us. Anyway, I will talk to you then, and you have a good day. And remember, if you have any questions or comments, please make them. Everybody's been so kind and sent such nice comments. I really appreciate it. Goodbye.